Are you wasting your time and money on inefficiencies in the business? Are sales down and lead conversion rates are low? Are you having problems building or maintaining inventory levels? What does it really take to win in the automotive industry?
Get the cars that make sense for your store rather than just wishing at an auction. So it gives you that better control.
With over 25 years of experience, Daryl the Wolf Steed isn't just another industry voice. He's the guy who's out there solving real problems for dealers just like you.
They'll even say in the Pacific Northwest where you're at that it's a tougher market. It's, it's tougher to find cars. The market's a little bit softer. And in the midst of all this, your turn doubled and your profit's up 75%.
Yes.
The truth hurts only when it should. Are you ready to hear the truths? Daryl is here to unpack the hard truths and the proven strategies that will take your dealership from struggling to soaring. And he is taking it all in the streets, with real talk, open dialogue, unfiltered conversations. This is the podcast series, Street Smarts, powered by Smartwolf Consulting.
Welcome back. It is Friday wrap-up time to wrap up the week, kind of jump in and talk about some interesting conversations and things that we found out this week. Let's start at the top of the hour on this Friday afternoon and talk about what's going on and just, in the market with what people say. So I started Street Smarts, powered by Smartwolf, to be a podcast to get to know new people, get a different voice, know what's going on, and wanted to really get into like what's really happening, because we see a lot of these big companies and little companies, and we see all the spokespeople and things of that nature. And what I find oddly interesting is when people are saying, oh, things are this way and this or that way. And then we see it in a different light, or the employees that work from see it in a different light, or the dealers see it in a different light. And it's always odd to me is like, well, I don't understand when we say one thing, but then something incredibly different is happening. And we all know that every big company has talking heads and they want to push a message out so that it makes it like that they're the solution or they're the option or whatever it may be. But it really kind of comes down to, let's like really kind of call all the bullshit out and let's see what's happening on the streets. What's actually happening? What's the actual perception? Are dealers winning? Are dealers losing? Like we hear all the time that the market is not doing so well, but then we'll hear these cases of where dealers are really crushing it. So, it's great to get new people on there. I've been very fortunate to get some really great guests with either some absolutely cutting edge technology that's coming out or training and adaptations that you can use to get better. And then just to talk to people in way it comes to leadership and consumer experience. But this week I got to experience something and I wanted to say, guys, it's working. Street Smarts is working. We're finding out what the truth is. And listen, like any time that you start uncovering pieces of stuff, people get afraid. And, fear is one of those drivers it's healthy to be fearful. It's healthy to be fearful, especially when you're posting a message or driving a message that isn't necessarily truthful or that is angling in a situation that you want to focus on rather than what's really happening. And so, I bring that up because, I thought it would be an interesting subject just to kind of put out there and kind of just really give people something to think about, right? We're getting into the streets, right? We're going to figure out what's going on. Is why don't we, right? We profess social media and you need to connect with your clientele and you want to engage with them and you need to be where they're at. And these are all effective ways to sell more cars, do more service, acquire more cars, right? It's kind of the rhythm of where we're going in today's society. But then I kind of just found myself laughing my ass off when the situation came up, because it's like, why is it companies, publicly owned, privately owned, startups, whatever it may be, why aren't we encouraging, using, and making our own employees work into the social media arena to talk about and be proud of what they do. Or if there's challenges, have no problem talking about it. Because why would we not want the transparency that we so-called say that all these companies are, is that we operate in transparency and we want to show you how to get better in this. You can't show anybody absolutely shit if you're not doing it yourself, right? It's the old, like, do as I say, not as I do, right? And the younger societies don't believe in that. The really younger societies definitely don't buy into that crap. And so I thought it was extremely interesting on just how many companies I talked to. And we're talking over a dozen different companies where I either invited them on, or we were talking about posting. We were talking about social media and what it means. And their message was really interesting. It was, yeah, we think these are effective ways to communicate. Dealers definitely need to do this. This is where the customers are at. But then when I turned it around and said, well, how do you guys deal with that? It was, oh, yeah, our people aren't allowed to do it. They have to stick to a script. They can't talk about that. Like, we don't want to have their opinion or how they feel about it. And I'm like, what? Like, what is going on with this? Like, how could you possibly be that two-faced and tell dealers, like, yeah, you should be doing these things, but you don't practice them yourself? Like, when it gets down to it, guys, social media, just media in general, being in the social sphere, it goes no different than when I'm talking about acquisition. Why the hell would I want to do business with anybody that isn't proud and isn't talking about what they do, that isn't sharing it in their everyday life? And if they have a problem, a concern, a doubt, well, unfortunately, if you're a big company, that's your damn fault. Because if they have a concern, a doubt, or they're unhappy, it's because you allowed that to be there, or they don't feel confident to talk to you about it, or you don't address it in your culture. Why are you afraid about people talking about what's going on or how they feel or what they do or how they see the company? Because at the end of the day, a person only sees the company, right, based on how you allow them to be portrayed or valued. So when we think about that, is like, guys, let's start doing what we say we should do. Let's start doing what we train other. And when we think about that, is let's really get into, right, like, if we're going to talk about training, developing, and how we can get our messaging out and everything else, right? Start doing what you say you should do. Start doing that. Let's just be simple. Let's not sit there and have talking heads. I've never really understood public communication officers or like speaking people for companies. For me, like, I'm an army of one, so I've got to say it, do it, but I live it. Like, I don't sit there and say anything that I don't believe in, that I don't teach, that I don't think that is going to be effective. But when you see these companies, they're like, well, we have to kind of tailor what the message is. Then go train all your people and encourage them to get the message out. A message by the masses is louder than a message by one. Not to mention, okay, here's a little training for companies, okay, a little free little insight. A message from the masses, or when people are really encouraged to go do that and engage with it, is quite a bit more believable than when it comes from one person, because then it looks staged. It looks scripted. It doesn't feel real. So if you have to do some training and teaching, guys, spend some time, spend some money, spend some energy, and train your people on how to have a conversation. And when I say how to have a conversation, that does not mean load their lips with crap you want them to say. They should be free to talk about how they feel, where they feel valued, if they don't feel valued. Because you know what? Every company, every industry, every dealership, good, bad, or indifferent, has ups and downs. You know what? That's okay, because that's what makes us who we are. Not to mention, that's how we get better. So don't hide away from it. Okay, embrace it. You know, so I dealt with that, and I wanted to address it because, in all fairness, okay, you're either going to adapt to, you know, being in the consumer arena and dealing with consumer experience and having a unique and authentic message, or you're going to continue being fake and you're going to be dealt with in the industry as like, okay, yeah, you know what? I think you're trustworthy, but are you trustworthy? But you're not really trustworthy. So, I mean, you got to decide where you want to be on that. The other thing is I'm going to cover this quite a bit on little videos throughout the next week, is when you don't encourage people to embrace and talk about what they do and everything else, just how bad and how quickly that affects culture, both in the dealership and the business environment. Because, you really want to engage people to have a voice and feel valued, that their opinion, feelings, and ideas actually matter. It doesn't mean you're going to use them all the time, but when you give them no thought or value or any energy to them, then people think that they're just a bump on the log rather than actually being part of the solution. Lastly, we're sitting there and I'm going through the week and talking to dealers, and I mean, it could just be me. I could have it all made up in my own head, but lots of conversations, seeing lots of posts, lots of videos. So I've been seeing all these things going on, and I still can't figure it out. Everyone has been talking about, like, except for we'll call it the 10 percenters who are doing really well and have figured it out. Congratulations, guys. Take a bow and get your flowers. But like, hey, we want to sell more cars, but we're really struggling with acquisition. We're really struggling with what's going on, whether it be from the clubhouse calls to all things used cars, all things acquisition, to seeing podcasts, to seeing stores posting videos, to conversations, really struggling with acquisition, used car operations, and getting the right inventory. And so, of course, what kind of baffles my mind about seeing all this stuff, and now, mind you, we're almost through the first quarter of the year. Why are we still talking about it? Start doing something about it. Make a decision. You can contact me. I will definitely put in all the time, okay, that needs to be done to get you to where you need to be. There's other people out there. There's tools. There's software. But again, we're like thinking about it. Then we're discussing it, and then we're back to thinking about it. Then we're discussing it. Guys, that's insanity. That is the definition of insanity. Let's keep doing the same exact thing and expect different results, right? It always comes back to such a simple methodology of, if you don't put it into action, then you're doing nothing, okay? And a thought, okay, is not an action. That's why try, okay, the word try actually has no connotation to accomplish anything, because the word try is a thought. Because the moment you do something, you're doing it. You cannot actually try anything. You either do it or you don't do it, okay? So you can say, we're going to try. Trying is thinking, and thinking doesn't get anything done, okay? Doing gets something done. And it's okay to start something, whether you have the right people or you have the right situation, okay? Those are excuses, and it's okay, but stop making them. Just start doing it. Say, you know what? I don't have the right people right now, but we're going to start it up. Because you know what's going to end up happening when you make a choice and you start doing it? You're going to force yourself to find the right people, to make the choices to get to the right people. You're going to then say, okay, hey, it's not working. Then you're going to have to put energy into it, to figuring out whether it's a process, a person, a pay plan, whatever it may be. But no, we like to sit in the thought bubble. It's kind of like, to give you guys kind of like, like a parable to this, or a story, is it's like the parent or the mom. We always like, they want to wrap their kid in bubble wrap and protect them and make sure that nothing out in the world is going to hurt them. And then they're like, oh, I finally have to let my baby go. They're going out and they're like, they're adults now, and I've got to live in the big world. Okay, guys, the bubble wrap's been taken off. You guys are all big kids now, okay? Your mom, your dad can't protect you anymore. It's time to start doing and stop talking and thinking, right? You're going to outthink yourself out of everything, either out of fear, out of anxiety, out of action. And in all fairness, our business is not a thinking business. It's a do business. So let's start doing. Right? And if you decide you need my help, let's go. I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, I've gotten 3 new clients in the last week, and we're seeing success. We're seeing results with the clients that I do have. And, I got to give all of them accolades, because you know what? They're doing something. And so what's great about those conversations is we're no longer having conversations about like, man, like we're really struggling or we're not doing this. We're having conversations about, man, we bought 15 cars this week. Man, we bought 30 cars this week. Our sales have went up. We're making a little bit more money. Our people are happier, right? Because we're not thinking and talking about it. We're doing something. right? So I challenge everybody out there, start doing something, do anything, but don't sit there and overthink, underthink, talk about it, plan for it. Because guys, our best laid plans. I was talking to one dealer group and they're like, well, we've discussed it. Now we're planning. We're trying to figure things out. Right? Your best laid plan is going to get popped like a bubble the moment you actually start doing something. Because you can only plan for so much, whether you like the Rocky parable or any other parable, right? Your best plan, it's great until you get punched in the mouth, and then you got to see how you react. So it is much more effective to get started, okay? Start rolling it out and figuring out where are the speed bumps and work through those and take 30 or 60 days to develop the strategy so you can actually move forward with action, right? There's the difference between a hypothesis, okay, and an actual paper, right? It's like, well, we're thinking. At some point, we got to write the thing. Okay, so I challenge everybody on this Friday. Let's start Monday morning, right? Like now, if you're super active and you're like, you know what, Monday's too late. I agree, but let's give Monday his grace, right? Let's start Monday morning. If you've been thinking about it, you've been talking about it, you've been discussing it, of either making action or whatever else, whether it's like, you know what, I'm going to get the software I need to start this, or I'm going to get some training and education that I need, or I'm going to get the guy to help me do this, or whatever it is for you to attack this used car market and acquisition, okay, the time for talking and thinking is over. Monday's an action day. Sign a contract, make a phone call, get a plan of action in place, hire someone, do something, because at the end of the day, once you do something, now you've started and now you can actually start winning. You can't win when you think, okay? Thinking does not make you win. Talking about something does not make you win. In order to win, you have to do it, okay? You have to have action, okay? And so we're looking for people to have that winning attitude. I'm looking for more winners, okay? So if you're looking to win, hey, give me a call. I'm available. I'm ready to go. And then one little recap, right? Is anyone seeing this on Friday? Okay, it is not too late, okay? Shameless plug, okay? For Game Changers. Okay, Game Changers is coming up on Tuesday. So if you have not already, okay, registered for the Game Changers event in LA, okay, it's not too late. Okay, it's on the 25th, 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You can come see 4 incredible speakers, learn all kinds of stuff. Maybe you want to sign up with one of them, maybe you don't. And then get to enjoy the Dodgers versus the Angels. And from everything I've heard, the Dodgers are like basically the super team of baseball. Okay, and are a clear front runner to make the World Series. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. And for some reason, let's say you're like, man, I just can't get to LA. Don't you worry. There are 5 other stops after that all across the country, which I'll be updating those. You'll also hear from Jason Harris, Jordan Cox, and the other people that are involved in these. But guys, used cars, acquisition, more sales, it is so close to you guys getting better that it's literally this close. It's a phone call away of saying, I need your help. Let's go to whoever you're deciding on doing and then get it in action. Okay, so like I said, street smarts, we've now kind of talked about, right? Let's not censor people. Let's encourage them. Let's educate them, and let's get the message out there, the real message, not the talking head message. Okay, let's not sit there and make people feel like they're not valued by telling them that they shouldn't be out there talking about what they do, and how they feel. And more importantly, guys, let's stop talking and thinking about stuff. Let's actually start doing it. If you actually acted right now, it's March 21st. If you made action, and I'm going to use myself as an example because I just had a group do this. We're going to use all of April to get this foundation going. We're going to get everything dialed in so that when we get to May 1st, we're still going to get some results in April, by the way. But when we get to May 1st, we are locked and loaded for peak selling season. So we can acquire, so we sell more, trade more, and get our service drives working up. Man, think about that. In literally 45 days, you could be ready and more dialed in than you were last year to attack the selling season and have your used car profitability go up. I don't know why anyone else would want to be thinking or talking about that and not doing it. Well, I'm going to wrap things up there, guys. I hope that you guys learned at least one thing, or you know what? Someone's going to comment, troll, or say that I'm completely wrong. That's okay, because this is how we get better. Just putting dynamic thought out there and what we see going on in the streets and seeing how do we react to it, how do we make it work, and then how do we proactively make sure that we don't have these things continue in the future. Thank you so much. My name is Daryl Steed, and this is Street Smarts powered by Smartwolf Consulting.